Kraven the Hunter, the last of Sony's extended Spider-Verse films, is here, which means that yes, finally, our long national nightmare is over. This video is brought to you by The Perfect Gene. Go to theperfectgene.nyc and use code DAN15 for a special offer, and stay tuned after the video for more info. Hello everybody, I'm Dan Murrell on the road with my review of Kraven the Hunter. The review embargo just dropped, and let's just jump right into it, shall we? Kraven the Hunter is from director J.C. Shandor, whose last film was Netflix's Triple Frontier in 2019. The screenplay is from Richard Wenk, who wrote the Equalizer films, and Art Markham and Matt Holloway, whose credits range from Iron Man to Punisher Warzone to Transformers: The Last Night. Their last two films were Men in Black International and Uncharted, which look like masterpieces compared to this movie. Sony's extended Spider-Verse films, meaning the ones without Spider-Man, have yielded one quasi-success, which would be the Venom movies. I didn't hate really any of them, but when you look at Madam Web and Morbius, those two were unmitigated failures. And with Kraven the Hunter, I think that they may have somehow made the worst one yet. I go into every movie hoping that it might be good, but those hopes were dashed pretty soon after Kraven began. Aaron Taylor Johnson stars as Sergei Kravenov, aka Kraven the Hunter, who has vague superpowers granted to him as a teenager from a magic serum given to him randomly by an African girl named Calypso. How and why this happens is really unimportant, particularly to the filmmakers themselves. All you need to know is that he can run and jump really fast, and he gets twilight eyes so he can see real good. At one point, he even does the Spider-Man crawl because his superpowers are really useless to the plot, and who cares? As a grown man, Kraven takes on the responsibility of protecting the animals of eastern Siberia like some sort of Peter Parker, but he's drawn back into the criminal underworld when his brother, played by Fred Heckinger, is kidnapped. The how and why of this kidnapping would be full of intrigue if this movie was in any way intriguing. Various characters flit in and out of the movie at random times. There's Kraven's dad, played by Russell Crowe, doing an accent that's definitely an accent. The movie seems to forget about him for long stretches of time. There's also the adult Calypso, played by Ariana DeBose, in what has to be one of the worst performances by an Oscar winner. And honestly, I don't blame her. I blame the movie. Go look at her performances in other films and then tell me just how critical it is to have a director in charge of the performances in the film. She's just awful in this movie, but so is everybody else. Alessandro Nivola plays Alexei Sitsevich, aka the Rhino. This movie takes the Rhino so for granted that how he becomes the Rhino takes place completely off screen, because at this point, screw it. And Christopher Abbott plays a mysterious bad guy known as the Foreigner, who's supposed to be somebody. It doesn't really matter. Nothing matters at this point. I actually think you should conduct a study on how you can gather a cast of objectively capable actors. I mean, Aaron Taylor Johnson, I've liked him in a lot of movies. Ariana DeBose and Russell Crowe both won Academy Awards. How can you get this group of people together and have them all be this bad? You've seen me on this channel. Usually there's something that I can point to in any movie as a redeeming factor or a redeeming quality, and I just can't. I don't know if these movies have just beaten me into submission so that I'm incapable of seeing light or goodness in the world anymore, but I cannot point to a single thing in Kraven the Hunter that makes me say, oh, well, at least there's this. It's just not there. Kraven the Hunter is a very, very bad movie. The performances are very bad. The script is very bad. The movie itself is at times poorly made, riddled with continuity errors and obvious ADR, really almost as bad as Madam Web. And I thought that you couldn't even approach the badness of Madam Web when it comes to bad ADR. This movie was delayed for over a year by the strikes, apparently. And I can't imagine being anyone involved with Kraven the Hunter knowing that this time bomb was just sitting on the shelf waiting to go off. In a movie full of bad things, the script is particularly terrible. At one point, a character is referenced as being like some kind of chameleon. Get it? Very subtle foreshadowing there. This also contains one of the worst lines of dialogue that I've ever heard in any movie. At one point, a character says, "She died soon after that, and I never saw her again." Yeah, no shit. That's what dying is. You don't ever see that person again. That's what makes it so sad. There's also a scene where Kraven is haunted by visions of spiders because somebody obviously said, hey, we got to jam some spiders into this movie. However, it probably goes without saying that nothing in this movie ever points to why Kraven the Hunter is connected to Spider-Man or would ever meet Spider-Man or should even be in the same universe as Spider-Man. And honestly, given the quality of the film, I think that might be Spider-Man's greatest victory over Kraven, being completely disconnected from this. Every critic at some points questions the life choices that brought them to this point, but this was definitely one of those movies to me because it wasn't just a bad movie, this was a road movie for me. I drove over 5 hours in order to see Kraven the Hunter to be able to get this review here in time for the embargo. I sat in very bad rush hour traffic in a city that I don't live in order to see this film, and it really caused a bit of an existential crisis. It made me look at the life choices that brought me to this point. Why am I sitting here in a Sonesta, hours away from my home, talking about this movie? Full disclosure, the screening for Kraven that I went to was at an Alamo Drafthouse. It's a wonderful venue, and it became pretty obvious what direction this movie was going. And one of the great things about Alamo Drafthouse is that you can order a drink if you'd like during the film. And so I had a couple of beers. And to give a shout out to my friend Jeremy Johns and judging it by his standard, this movie wasn't even fun when you were a little buzzed. I wouldn't say that any amount of alcohol would make Kraven the Hunter a fun movie. It's just not good. It's just really not good. Honestly, I don't know how this movie turned out this way. There's been over a century of movies at this point. Someone should have learned lessons on how to not make a movie this bad by now. The fact that Avi Arad produced this film and Borderlands in the same year should yield some sort of criminal charges. I don't know how you can produce two movies this bad that come out in the same year. I'm an optimist, as I said, and I go into every movie hoping that it turns out good, but I'm rethinking that mentality after seeing Kraven, just purely out of self-preservation. Regardless, this is the end of Sony's extended Spider-Verse, and given the quality of this movie and Morbius and Madam Web, I think that can really only be seen as not only a win for moviegoers and Spider-Man fans, but as a win for humanity. So needless to say, my rating on Kraven the Hunter is a very definitive stay away, and may God have mercy on this movie's soul. So those are my thoughts on Kraven the Hunter. What do you think? Are you going to be heading out to the theater to see it this weekend? Let me know down in the comments below. And before we go, I want to thank the sponsor for this review. This video is brought to you by The Perfect Gene. Christmas is fast approaching and your schedule is probably packed. Holiday get-togethers, last-minute shopping, trekking out to find that perfect tree. Well, there's one pair of jeans that's perfect for all of your holiday activities, and it's The Perfect Gene. The Perfect Gene is stretchy enough to accommodate any number of holiday feasts, comfy enough to wear watching Christmas Vacation on the couch for the 12th time, and cozy enough that it's like your legs are constantly resting next to a warm fireplace. And they come in 6 fits for all occasions with waists from 26 to 50 and lengths from 26 to 38. So whether you're Santa-sized or elf-sized, they have what you need. Not only do I still love wearing my own pair, I'm checking my own Christmas list to see who would be perfect to have a pair of their own. And there will be some perfect jeans under the tree for a couple of people who I won't name because they might be watching. Plus, the Perfect Gene offers free shipping, exchanges, and returns, making my order risk-free just in case I don't have those sizes quite right. It's finally time to stop putting up with uncomfortable jeans by going to theperfectgene.nyc. Our viewers and listeners get 15% off your first order, plus free shipping, free returns, and free exchanges when you use the code DAN15 at checkout. That's 15% off for new customers at theperfectgene.nyc with promo code DAN15. After you purchase, they're going to ask you where you heard about them, so please support the show and tell them that I sent you. F your khakis and get the Perfect Gene. Thanks to The Perfect Gene for sponsoring this review, and thank you for watching. I will be back in the studio very shortly, hopefully reviewing something or talking about something that doesn't make me question my career choices. Until then, stay safe, and I'll see you next time. Bye.